Hey Navion, I wanted to do this screencast for you since we didn't have time to actually conference in class. So I'm just going to read through your paper and tell you the things that I noticed and make some suggestions or comments for you to think about within your writing, okay? So the first thing I notice is that you need a heading. So it should say Navion Scarlett. The next line should say AP Language, and then Mrs. Matheny, and the last line should say like whatever the date is in January, okay? The second thing is that with MLA format, everything should be the same font size. So when I click on your title, that's 14. When I click up here where it says Scarlett, that's also 14. But your paper is in 12-point font, which is the accurate font, so you want to make sure that you change all the other fonts. The second thing with your title is that it should not be underlined. They just sort of function the same way as all the other text, okay? So now I'm going to start reading. In Sierra Leone, the diamond conflict began when rebels claimed to be ridding the diamond mines for foreign control. The rebels killed 50,000 people and forced millions to flee their homes, destroying the country's economy and shocking the world with images of amputated limbs and drug-addled boy soldiers. For Sierra Leone, this was the beginning of the Blood Diamond Crisis. I see right here that you have a footnote, but in MLA format, we do not use footnotes. So you're going to need to explain what you mean within the actual paragraphs, okay? So the beginning of the Blood Diamond Crisis and the revelation of the harsh reality that they will come to recognize all too well that will forever see in their translucent gems and crimson. What I see here is a lot of wordiness. So I think that you need to explain what you mean as far as translucent gems and crimson. I think that you're trying to be metaphorical, talking about blood diamonds or diamonds covered in blood. But I think that for the sake of formal writing, since this is supposed to be research-based and professional, we need to avoid this kind of very like flowery language, okay? As portrayed in the passage, blood diamonds are a problem that have deep negative effects. All right, my first question is, what passage are you referring to? In recent years, consumers have become increasingly aware of blood diamonds, which have been detrimental to many countries, economies, and people involved. In response, the Clean Diamond Trade Act was created by the U.S. Congress to combat the negative effects of diamond trade. All right, first thing is you should spell out U.S. for United States, and then the C in Congress needs to be capitalized. The second question I have is right here where it says Kimberly Process Certification Plot. Is that a citation, or I'm not entirely sure what that means because it's not explained, but also if it's a citation, it should function at the end of the sentence after trade. However, the Kimberley process has been anything but beneficial. The diamond crisis can only be solved by reforming or eliminating global diamond trade. So I think that you need to explain some stuff and maybe potentially cut some stuff out, because this part that I'm highlighting right now is pretty clean. Like, I think that it's very focused, but the part about it is really murky to me. The other thing I noticed within the format is you see how I clicked here, you have this extra space. That should actually be deleted, and then the first word of your paragraph should be indented. All right, so diamond trade is a multi-million-dollar industry. It is important to understand how it works. There are multiple sections of the diamond trade: the miners and producers, cutters and polishers, jewelry manufacturers, and retailers. What do they do? This is a sentence fragment. There's no verb. There are four major producers: De Beers, Alrosa, BHP Billiton, and Rio Tinto. There are only about 20 major diamond mines, 11 of which make up 62% of the diamond trade. Producers sell the rough diamonds to cutters and polishers. It is an expensive process because 50 to 60% of the original weight of the diamond is cut or polished away. To sell rough diamonds, De Beers sell to about 80 clients called site holders using long-term contracts. Other companies sell using auctions. Most smaller stones, usually about 3 carats, are cut in India and China because of low labor costs. You need to get rid of this extra space that's right here. In the United States, so make sure you spell out United States, it costs $100 per carat to cut. In India, it costs $10 per carat. Also, to lower production costs, computers are being used to map out the best way to cut the diamonds. Laser technology is also being used that requires minimal human labor. The polished gems are sold to jewelry manufacturers. The transaction happens either at the jewelry cutter's office or increasingly at exhibitions in big cities like Las Vegas. There are more than 10,000 players in jewelry manufacturing around the world. Some act as manufacturers and retailers, such as, you have an extra space right here as well, Tiffany, Cartier, Bulgari, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and a comma, and Chanel. However, 80% of the players in the manufacturing world in China and India work without branding. So you need a comma right here. However, with branding, an engagement ring by Cartier will enjoy 40% profit over an unbranded ring the same size and quality. In the past, sales were done through jewelry stores, some famous, Tiffany, Zale, Kay Jewelers, and some not. Today, independent jewelers are dwindling with department stores such as Macy's, JCPenney, Neiman Marcus, and discounters like Walmart, Costco, and Target take over jewelry sales. So the reason why I'm pausing here is because you say department stores such as Macy's, blah, 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 take over jewelry sales. But I think that you're missing a word or the tense doesn't match. Like for some reason, this sentence seems really awkward to me, that sentence right there. Other smaller diamonds are used for industrial use. These are the smallest diamonds and won't bring in profit, and they are used for cutting and polishing. When blood diamonds taint a country's export of diamonds, it alters the social norms. I don't have a choice, Mr. Commanda said, standing calf-deep in brown, muddy water here at the Babusjine mine where he works every day. My question for you is, this seems like an incredibly long quote, because since you are not like reporting live or you're not interviewing Mr. Commanda yourself, you shouldn't talk about the present tense, about him being here at the Bando Bush mine, because that's very confusing for the reader. This is my only hope, really. I think that this part needs explained. Why is this part his only hope? A diamond miner is quoted in Sierra Leone explaining that mining for diamonds is no longer a choice. Many of the diamond miners are the poorest of the country, and after years of mining, there are not much profits or not many profits. Got to fix that. The blood diamonds had destroyed the economy and left nothing for them to really mine. I think, okay, so you're sort of jumping around as far as like the necessity of mining, the jobs, all that sort of stuff. But what I'm concerned about is you're sort of explaining to me that blood diamonds destroyed the economy, but you're not really proving it. Like, how do they destroy the economy? How long did that take for it to be destroyed? What was it like before? What was it like after? Okay, the miners worked day in and day out and hope they find a jackpot diamond that can help them provide for their family. Do you see how you have like these anecdotes on the side? So they find a jackpot diamond, even just for a little while. That's sort of informal, and you want to make sure that this paper is as formal and research-based as you possibly can. The poverty rates are highest in mining districts. Kono's poverty rate is 20% higher than nearby Fujian district. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. Is Kono part of Sierra Leone? What was the poverty rate before? Like, what is the poverty rate outside of the mining districts? Like, I have a lot of questions about this part because I don't feel like I understand the context of what you're talking about. In the wake of blood diamond awareness, the U.S. Congress issues the Clean Diamond Trade Act. When was this? I need a time period so I can understand when this actually took place. Is it right now because it's in present tense, the wake of blood diamond awareness? Was it a few years ago? The Kimberley process is a global gem verification group formed to stop the export of precious stones from conflict zones. However, the ban only stopped any timid criminals. The Kimberley process is supposed to act as a passport for diamonds. This passport will have information about the origin and carat for diamonds. However, smugglers find it just as easy as faking a driver's license, especially because the certification is very basic and only cites the rough carats for, I think you need to fix that, the diamonds. The black market continued to thrive. Okay, so you're switching from present tense here, and then you're going to past tense here. One could even say the black market exploded in sales. Okay, so when? Like, I need more detail here, okay? I need a time frame, a timeline, something like that. So I think what you're getting at here is that the Kimberley process was supposed to improve this conflict, but I'm actually wondering if this information should come earlier. Like you talked about Kimberley in the first paragraph without really explaining it, and and maybe it just seems like it's out of order a little bit. So it's something I want you to think about. I think it could come earlier in the paper. Okay, so now you're talking about the black market, and I think that according to human rights, massacred. You have some random spaces that you need to fix here. Okay, so you're talking about how the Kimberley process is not effective. It's too weak. So then what should happen? Okay, so then blood diamond can be resolved if global diamond trade is purged and reformed or eliminated. Okay, so I guess this sample, when you're talking about this cookie experiment, Okay, so here's my advice because this document is incredibly long. Keep in mind that down here on page 9, you have citations, and I think what you did is just copied and pasted your annotated bibliography, but this should just say work cited up here, and then it should incorporate your actual citations. You do not need to incorporate any of the paragraphs, okay? Okay, so here's what I think you need to do. I think you have a lot of information, but I don't know if it's in the right organization. So I think that the best thing you can do is think about what order does this need to be said in order to make sense. For me, as someone who knows really nothing about blood diamonds, I would advise you to maybe use, talk about life in Sierra Leone, and then get into what is a blood diamond, how long has this crisis been around, what have people done in the past to help it, what are people doing now to help it, what is the experience for someone who lives in Sierra Leone, what was it like before diamond trade, what is it like now, and then get into potential solutions. Because as it is right now, I'm just really confused. Okay, like I don't see a logical sequence between each paragraph. Okay, so that's something I want you to think about. I think it's something that you can definitely fix. I think this paper can be very, very good and super interesting, but we got to get things together in an order that will make sense to someone who knows nothing about it. So work on that, clean up some of the wording, add in some of the details, and fix up your formatting, and I think you should be good to go, okay? Have a good night.